In the quiet town of Vlodrop, tucked beside the Dutch-German border, sits a factory that changed the way the world screams. Its name is vekoma. To most people, that word means nothing on its own, but to thousands of coaster fans around the world, it means something powerful, something familiar, something thrilling. What began as a simple machine factory in 1926 constructing farm equipment and steel structures slowly evolved into one of the most influential companies in the amusement engineering scene. In those early decades, the workers of Veld Kloning Maschinefabrik, as the company was called back then, had no idea that their steel would one day hold loops, drops, and forces powerful enough to make riders forget which way was up. But as Europe rebuilt after the war and leisure industries expanded, the company's direction began to shift. Vekoma discovered that it could shape steel in ways few others could. Precision bend track, custom-formed steel beams, and mechanical expertise began to open new doors. And in the late 1960s and early 70s, the company took a step that would define its future. They started building rides. Not coasters, not yet, but small amusement rides for fairs and parks around Europe. The engineering was solid, the craftsmanship was reliable, and soon parks noticed. Vekoma expanded rapidly, adding new fabrications buildings, welding machinery, and a growing team of designers who saw the amusement industry not as a simple entertainment, but as a world of limitless engineering challenges. The turning point came when Vekoma partnered with Aerodynamics, a pioneer in steel coaster design in the United States. The partnership exposed Vekoma to the potential of tubular steel coasters, flowing graceful track that allowed for loops and corkscrews long thought impossible. When Aero and Vekoma eventually ended the partnership, the transformation had already happened. Vekoma realized it could stand on its own. The company wasn't just bending steel anymore, it was shaping the future of thrill rides and roller coasters. And so, in the late 1970s and early 80s, Vekoma entered its most important era. The era when it began building the roller coasters that would make its name known in parks across the globe. If the early years of Vekoma were a story of discovery, the 80s and 90s were a story of domination. Almost overnight, their coasters appeared everywhere. The company had found its identity, and the world took notice. This era began with a coaster that would become a global phenomenon, the Vekoma Boomerang. A shuttle coaster where the train climbs a spike, races forward through a series of inversions, and then speeds backwards through the same intense elements. It was compact, efficient, easy to install, and thrilling enough to keep lines full from morning until closing. Within a decade, parks around the world would install their own versions of the Boomerang. From Europe to Asia to the Americas, the Vekoma footprint spread as quickly as the parks could pour concrete. To coaster fans, the familiar shape, the tall vertical spike, the triangular loop, the corkscrews, became a universal symbol. A sign that parks had something intense, something guaranteed to flip riders upside down twice and then do it again backward. But Vekoma wasn't finished there. In 1992, the world met the suspended looping coaster, the SLC. Where the Boomerang moved riders forward and backwards, the SLC threw them side to side, up and around, dangling their feet just above the track. It was aggressive, complex, and compact, exactly what many parks wanted. The familiar roar of its steel wheels and the chorus of screams that follows became a signature experience across countless mid-sized parks. Even though the critics had mixed opinions, you cannot deny the impact of the Boomerang and SLC. During their lifetimes, over 42 SLCs were built and 53 Boomerangs were built. That makes them some of the most widespread roller coaster models in history. Throughout the 90s and early 2000s, Vekoma became known for variety. While other manufacturers focused on few signature models, Vekoma built a library: family coasters, giant suspended coasters, custom looping layouts, junior coasters that introduced young riders to the first taste of fear and excitement. By the early 2000s, Vekoma had become a household name in the amusement world, but the company knew it needed to evolve. Technology was advancing, riders' expectations were growing, parks wanted smoother, more refined rides, coasters with the thrill of older models, but the comfort of modern engineering. And so, Vekoma began a transformation. Through partnerships with engineering firms, new software, and refined fabrication techniques, the company redesigned its entire approach to coaster track. Gone were the jagged transition and abrupt forces of older designs. In their place came flowing curves, buttery smooth inversions, and new track engineering that rivaled the most advanced competitors in the world. This evolution was made clear with introduction of the Vekoma MK1101 and MK1212 trains. They were sleek, ergonomic, refined. Riders who had grown up with the roughness of older coasters suddenly felt something new: comfort. The restraints were softer, the motion was smoother, the experience was very much elevated. And then the modern era arrived. An era refined, an era filled of ambition, creativity, and bold new versions of what Vekoma coasters used to be. Their new models, shockwave coasters, firestorm layouts, and custom multi-launch designs stunned the industry. Parks that once viewed Vekoma as a manufacturer of accessible, standardized rides now saw them as world-class innovators. Long, sweeping inversions, heartline rolls balanced above water, multi-launch sequences that fired trains forward with silent electric force. This wasn't the Vekoma of the 1980s. This was a new titan, a reinvented company capable of delivering some of the smoothest, most visually breathtaking coasters on Earth. Vekoma hadn't just improved, it had transformed completely. Today, the world of roller coaster design is more advanced, more competitive, and more visionary than ever before. Companies push launch systems further and challenge the very idea of what a thrill ride can be. And yet, Vekoma still stands confidently among the leaders in the industry. The company's modern coasters looks like living sculptures, metallic spines twisting through sky and forest, crossing rivers, threading through buildings, and slicing through mountain landscapes built specifically to highlight their shape. More parks are choosing Vekoma, not just because of reliability, but because of beauty, because their tracks looks alive. In Asia, multi-launch Vekoma coasters tower over themed villages, firing trains across vast courtyards at dawn and dusk. Riders feel weightless, floating through CRG stalls designed with mathematical precision. The forces are smooth, even hypnotic, pulling riders into a dance of speed and silence. In Europe, the Vekoma family coasters introduced the next generation to the world of thrills. The same company that designed fearsome loopers now engineers heartwarming family rides, powered coasters with charming trains, mini launch coasters with whimsical themes, and junior inwards that allow young riders to feel like the wind is beneath their feet for the first time. In North America, new custom Vekoma coasters signaled the company's return to prominence. A promise that innovation spreading globally will soon reach the biggest parks in the United States and Canada. Parks that once relied on older, rougher models now seek out Vekoma's newest creations, eager to showcase something fresh, modern, and surprising. And yet, for all their innovation, Vekoma remains grounded in something timeless, the joy of the rider. Every bolt, every weld, every curve of track is designed with one question in mind: what will this feel like? The company's engineers study the emotional journey of a coaster, The anticipation at the end of the lift hill, the silence the instant before a launch, the shock of an inversion, and the relief, laughter, or breathless awe that follows. They design for the screams and the smiles, the thrill and the memory. The world has changed since vekoma's early days shaping metal for farming equipments. Today, their steel shapes something else entirely, an emotion felt in a fraction of a second, shared by strangers on a train racing at impossible speeds. The future promises even more. Larger coasters, stranger elements, more immersive environments, perhaps even technologies that will redefine what a coaster can be. Track that shifts, launches that adapt, or elements that respond to the rider's motion. But no matter what innovations come, one truth remains. Vekoma is no longer just a manufacturer. It's a storyteller, shaping moments of fear, excitement, and joy through the language of steel. From a small factory in the Netherlands to one of the greatest roller coaster manufacturers, the journey continues. Every new project becomes another chapter in a story nearly a century long. And with every new track segment lifted into the sky, the message is clear. Vekoma is building the future of thrill rides. One scream, one smile, and one impossibly twisted piece of steel at a time.